Star Tribune, covers the Minnesota Twins, known him for a while. LaVelle Neal joining us right now on the show. LaVelle, great to see you, man. You've had a pretty chill offseason since the Twins decided they're not doing anything this offseason. How you doing?
Yeah, you're right about that. I'm actually writing a football column for tomorrow's paper, so I'm still waiting for the Twins to kind of get off their keisters here and get going. Their hot stove never got even to warm. I think Josh Stomont is like their number one free agent acquisition so far this offseason. So we're still waiting to see how this plays out. Falvey and Levine, they have a history of waiting to damn near reporting time to fill out their roster. So we're going to wait and see how that turns out with these two guys. So, and I just want to say, I'm honored to be on the same radio station with the great AJ Brzezinski, who I covered for many years in Minnesota. So, hello, AJ. You're not forgotten here.
LaVelle, let me just say this. When they were talking about you in our production meeting, they were saying Twins, what was it? Legend? No, wait, what was it? Twins Insider, Twins. There was some word, and I was like, they must not know LaVelle very well, because if they're using these big words with him, they must not know what a peon he is around Minnesota. So, I'm thankful we got you on our YouTube/podcast. It's not a radio show. We're not Sid Hartman here back in 98 trying to get you on Sid Hartman show. But LaVelle, thanks for coming on. I want to know, when are you going to ask Falvey and Levine the hard questions like, why the fuck aren't they signing anybody, or are they trying to win this division or give it away?
I know they're in a great position here. They're coming off a division title. The other teams have made moves, but I don't think enough to topple the Twins. And they have a young core that's emerging with Royce Lewis and Edouard Julien and Matt Wallner and those guys. And, Bailey Ober, Yohan Duran, the closer, has got a lot of talent. And Joe Ryan has got a lot of talent as well. They need to add. They lost Sonny Gray. They lost Kenta Maeda. Let's go. They need at least one, guy who could at least be a slide into a number 2 spot in that rotation. And add a couple more relievers, and they'd be good to go for another year. And that day's coming. As you know, AJ, used to be an annual figure at Twins Fest and the Winter Caravan. That's all coming up, so they'll be on the spot. Trust me, when these times come up here in the next couple of weeks, because after achieving what they did last year, ending an 18-game postseason losing streak, I think the fans are excited. I think they're engaged, and they want to see the Twins take the next step.
Do they need more important? What's more important to them? Somebody that can actually drive in 100 runs, or somebody that can actually play over 140 games in a season?
That's a good question. I would say run production would be the separator there over someone to be durable. But I mean, that's a fair question. Royce Lewis played half the season. They had a bunch of injuries during the year. They need a constant fixture in that lineup. Jorge Polanco, who may get traded. It may take a Jorge Polanco or Max Kepler package with one of their prospects to get the type of pitcher or extra hitter that they want. So I think they're looking for a production man. Ever since Nelson Cruz left, they really haven't had that presence in the 3 to 4 hole spot that can drive in a lot of runs. So I still think they missed that, and that's the type of guy they're going to be after, if they can find it for everything.
Is the Twins offseason a success if they get Rhys Hoskins?
No, I think in addition to Rhys Hoskins, they'd have to come up with another starting pitcher. Definitely. Sonny Gray, finishing top 3 in Cy Young Award voting last year, had a great season. They're going to miss those innings. They're going to miss the high quality pitching that he offered, and they got to find someone who can fill in. Now, Bailey Ober will be a guy to slot into that rotation, but they're still going to need someone else. Louis Varland showed a lot of promise last year, had to go down for some fine tuning and came back. But Rocco Baldelli is in love with Varland as a reliever and may convert him to a relief arm where he throw 97, 98 coming out of the pen with some nasty stuff. So they need a starter, man. I think they'd be better off long-term if they got a starter instead of Hoskins. If it's either or I go for the pitcher, although Hoskins look good in the Twins uniform.
Okay, LaVelle, I hear what you're talking about, and you're talking about this. This reminds me of the old, like, when Carl Polat's still on the Twins and we were playing in the Metrodome, and they were like, well, we can't even afford to buy you guys fleece jackets because you guys play inside. You have to buy them on your own. I mean, the Twins have money. I was there in the playoffs. They sell that place out. There's a lot of excitement for the Twins. Why won't they spend on these guys and go out and get a front line? Because the Central is there for the taking. They
Yep.
just need a piece or two.
Yeah, you're right. The thing that's scaring them, or that's what they're telling us, is that their TV contract is still up in the air for next year because they're part of that Diamond Sports Group, part of that Bally Sports Group that they don't have a contract for next year. So they're anticipating losing about $20 to $25 million in television revenue. And AJ, they've done a lot of cutting elsewhere. They've cut scouts. They've reduced their scouting network. They moved on from Billy Milos, who was there forever and has found a lot of the diamonds in the rough for them. He was let go after this year. They've been cutting in other areas of the organization. So I don't know. I think they knew this day was coming because when they agreed to bring back Carlos Correa, I think that pushed them to where they're the most they're still comfortable with that payroll, but not too much more. So they need some certainty here. There's going to be a hearing this week. Either there's going to be a hearing in bankruptcy court with Diamond Sports, or there's going to be an agreement between Major League Baseball and Diamond Sports where they just run it back one more year. That'd make a lot of people feel a lot better. But I know they're freaking out a little bit, man, because they're losing about 20 to 25 million in revenue that it's making them reluctant to spend on the free agent market. If you see them add a player, it'll probably be a trade more so than free agency.
Man, if the Pohlads are so broke, they should sell the team, LaVelle. They should go out. If they're not making enough money, people have been saying this since I was there, and that was 25 years ago. The Pohlads are so broke. They run it like they're so broke. They need to sell the team. But is that why they got rid of Dick Bremer? Rob Anthony's not back? I mean, what is happening in Twins land?
Yeah, they're making some, like I said, they're making some moves, and Bremer's being kicked over into some more of an ambassadorial role. But the Pohlad family, I think they've continued to strengthen their financial position. They, the one thing they did during the COVID year, they never laid off anybody while other teams were laying off people. And I think the Pirates froze their employees' pension programs. The Twins didn't go that route. They kept their employees. But man, since then, they've bought a couple other companies. They built a skyscraper in downtown Minneapolis. So they've got financial ability, and yeah, it makes you wonder what's it going to take for them to spend more money on payroll. But they have their limits to where they want to go, and I guess this past year is what their limit was. And it's frustrating for a fan to see that because they saw the success, they saw the packed stadiums, they made a brief run in the postseason, and they could take things one more step here. So this is when the whole cheap Pohlads thing rears his ugly head, and it's hard to defend them when they make these decisions and sit on a payroll like they are right now.
Especially with the team, I mean, like you said, breaking through that ceiling of the playoffs, like this is the time to strike. But you talk about the TV contract, and it's not just the Twins. There's plenty of teams. Even the world champion Rangers are talking about these TV contracts. Don't give me this idea that, one, they're not going to make money this year because of the TV contract, and two, they didn't see this coming. They just signed Correa last year. I'm sure they had to see this coming.
All these teams are making money, or they'd be selling these teams. There's always a line of people who want to buy these clubs. So they've got each team has their own set of rules. I know the Rangers, their TV deal was $111 million last year, and the Twins was $54. But that hasn't stopped the Rangers from making moves. They did let some people go. I know Mitch Garver moved on to another team, and some other guys have moved on. But there's ways to do this. And the other thing too for the Twins is that it's not like their roster's got a lot of holes. They've got, like I said, they got a young core of people. If Byron Buxton stays in the lineup for 130 games next year, he's going to put up numbers. Correa can't be as bad as he was a year ago. The Twins offense picked up because the young kids like Julian and Ryan Jeffers behind the plate and Royce Lewis at third, all stepped up, and have another young guy, Alex Kirilloff and Matt Wallner. They don't. I'm not saying that they have an embarrassment of riches, but man, it's not like they have to rebuild their infield or find corner outfielders or get a closer and find a starter. I'm like, if you bring in another quality starter, you're ready to roll. And if you get Rhys Hoskins in to play first base, that's another plus as well. It's not like they need a lot of work here.
LaVelle, give us more on Byron Buxton right now. There's a lot of fans in our chat that are talking about him and wondering if you think that he's got a game plan that's going to enable him to play center field on a semi-regular basis for this team. I know it's so tough because he's a great guy. He's super talented, but you have to have a really legit insurance plan, not just backup option, just a plan for, is he in the lineup at all? Is he in center field? Is he out,
The plan is for him to play center. That's what he's working towards this offseason. We'll know more in a couple of weeks because the Twins have some of their pre-spring training events going on in town, so the players will be in town. I reached out to his camp at the end of last year, about a week after he had his latest knee surgery, and Buck told his people to tell me that his knee felt better immediately following that surgery than it did all the previous season. So that's a good starting point. And then he came to Minnesota before Thanksgiving, worked out, got checked out, and got cleared to go forward with his offseason completion of rehab and into baseball activities to get ready for spring training. So that's the last thing we've heard about Byron Buxton going into the new year. So all eyes will be on him at Twins Fest when he shows up, if he shows up, and in spring training, because if he's healthy, it's the lineup's totally different. And based on what we've seen, the growth that some of the young guys provided last year, if he can jump into the middle of that, the Twins offense would be even more robust than it was in 2023.
So what has to happen? He has to stay healthy, or Rocco has to push him, because we talk about this all the time. And I look at some OPS plus from Byron Buxton, and he had an MVP caliber 235 at bats in what season was that? 2021. So does Rocco need to just push him?
You baseball guys amaze me because I've had tendonitis in my knee before, in both knees, and just by standing, it drives me to the shit. You guys are able to play on these things, and I never take for granted how hard it is for you guys to play the game.
Liar.
It's hard.
Liar.
AJ, you have had open wounds in the locker room, in the clubhouse, all right? And I've questioned you about that. You have said, stop looking at my legs. I'm going to play today. And so I was like, I give you guys credit. You answer the bell. You take the post. Me just being a regular civilian, if I stand up for 20 minutes on a sore knee, it's killing me. So I can only imagine what you guys are going through. So as far as Rocco pushing Buck, I'm sure Buck pushed himself hard enough to try to make the postseason roster last season. It just didn't work out. So they think they got it figured out now. And Rocco's not the type of guy that puts his foot up too many players' ass. I think he trusts them to be professional and get ready for games the best way they see fit. But it'll be interesting to see how much they give Buxton on his plate this spring training.
First off, I think we should make that a t-shirt. Stop looking at my leg. I'm playing today.
It's a true story. It's a true story.
It's very on brand. Trust me, you're not the first one with a great AJ story in the clubhouse. So my next question for you is their competition, because I think that's what drives the Twins. And it's what drove them last trade deadline. If you remember, LaVelle, they had a brilliant trade deadline. They did essentially nothing, which for the division was a huge win because the rest of the division essentially sold until the Guardians decided later on to kind of buy, but it was too late. So my point is, are the Twins not motivated? And that includes ownership, because they look around and say, these teams suck.
I think that goes into part of thinking as well. Maybe they need an antagonist to get them to behave a little more urgency. Cleveland's always a questionable one. They're about the same market size, had the same TV deal as the Twins last year. But it seems like Cleveland's always like subtracting, like in each of the last 3 or 4 years. Like last year, they traded Zach Plesac, right? Before the deadline. That was kind of a head scratcher at the time. So
you're saying for the Guardians, they traded Savali.
Yeah, Savali. That's right. Savali. There you go.
Savali to the Rays. That's like their number 2 or 3 starter. And they were like, okay, bye. We're going to get a prospect.
Yeah. So Cleveland's done that consistently in recent years. And you could argue they had a bigger run than the Twins did when they dominated the Central, I think. At least they've been in a World Series. So the White Sox were the big one, too. The White Sox are just a mess now. They've got they got to flush the toilet, as I like to say, and kind of clean out some crap from the roster and start moving forward. Because they had a bunch of DH right field type guys or DH first baseman guys, and it seemed like there was a logjam there we need to break up. It would seem weird that they'd have to trade Dylan Cease in order to get better. That just kind of is a head scratcher to me. They should be keeping someone like him. Giolito didn't work out, but I give them credit because Giolito was demanding a big contract, and the White Sox were ready to go there, and he did not have a good season. So there's a lot of stuff going on with them, man. And eventually the Royals are going to do something here too. So I agree that being in the division that the Twins are in, it kind of benefits them playing the slow game. But I will say this: let's see what happens by spring training and see who they add. Because I've covered a team. They traded for Jake Odorizzi during spring training. The Kenta Maeda trade was consummated the day before camp opened. They made other moves like during camp to bring in players. So they like to operate late, and we'll see what they come up with this time.
I want your unbiased Minnesota freezing winter opinion on this one, okay? Luis Arraez or Pablo Lopez?
Pablo Lopez. I'll take the picture any day. And I love Luis Arraez. It's a great story. The Twins offered him $20,000 coming out of Venezuela, and he turned it down and had given up on his big league hope and went out with a buddy to hang out. When he came back to his house, this is like when he was 15, 16, the Twin scouts there going, "I found you another $10,000. Luis says, "Okay, I'll sign." and the next thing you know, Luis slowly hits his way into the majors. The Twins missed him. They could have used his on-base percentage. They could have used his contact hitting ability. But I think both teams benefited from that deal. The Marlins needed a bat. The Twins needed a guy they believed in. Pablo Lopez is clearly, the staff face of that rotation. And the way how hard it is to acquire and maintain and lock up starting pitching, it's at a premium in today's game. So they traded for Lopez. They locked him up. I think for the long term, it's probably the best move the Twins could have made.
Finally, first time in the history of the world, LaVelle, you and I agree on something. Pablo Lopez over Luis Arraez. Scott has a man crush on Luis Arraez, and I said Pablo Lopez for the Twins is a better fit for them, especially after they locked him up. And then we saw what he did for him last year as a pitcher, which leads me to my question is, I was there when the Twins lost to the Astros last year, but they finally got off the schneid. They finally broke the curse of not being able to win a playoff game. They finally won a playoff series in the first time in over 20 years. It kind of goes back to ownership for me. Why is ownership not pushing more in? I get the TV stuff, but man, you're on the brink here. And that Astros series was closer than people, I think, realize. But they were on the verge of possibly going to the LCS, maybe the World Series, if they could just add a couple pieces. I mean, is there not enough fan pressure? Is there not enough people telling the Pohlads and Thad Levine and Derek Falvey, let's go for it?
There is a groundswell from fans upset, and they're despondent over the decisions to let Sonny Gray walk without trying to keep him or not giving Kenta Maeda another shot. Fans trust me, I get emails, I get stopped on the street when I'm covering other sporting events in town. And I was at the Wild hockey game the other day, and someone was like, why are the Twins not adding anybody? This is their chance to have a window of opportunity. So it's I advocated for it at the end of the regular season because I heard rumblings about the TV deal affecting their free agent decisions. And I was like, you can't do this. You got the fans interested again. You want to give them some hope. And the other thing too, AJ, is too big. When it's easy to project your revenue when you know what's coming in, and group sales is a big thing during the off season. And if you make a couple like big or at least solid free agent moves or player acquisitions, people from North Dakota, South Dakota are going to call and say, hey, 40 of us are coming on July 18th. And group sales help with cost certainty. And I just think sometimes they miss out or they ignore the benefits of being proactive and taking big swings during the wintertime instead of waiting for spring to come. So I trust me, I hear it frequently when I'm out and about in town.
Nobody recognizes you. So let's just say that, okay?
Hey,
let's just establish that first of all.
I'm a big man in town, and you know that literally and figuratively.
Oh, okay. All right. You're no Jim Suhan, okay?
Wow. Now, see, that's a shot. That's
all right. So, LaVelle, you've been tweeting a lot about football since we're in the NFL playoffs. Who do you want to win the Super Bowl, and who do you got going to the Super Bowl since your Vikings are out?
I love watching San Francisco's offense. Brock Purdy's a functional quarterback, but as a guy who's a fantasy football champion like I am, I know the benefit of yards after the catch. And Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle are the personification of yak. And I love the plays they make in open field. You got Christian McCaffrey there as well. I just think um, they're an entertaining team. Having been born in Chicago, and it was instilled with me as soon as I came out of my mother's womb that I was supposed to hate the Packers at every turn. I want the Packers to get destroyed next week. So I like to see the San Francisco 49ers play the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl and have the 49ers prevail.
Okay. You're a conspiracy theorist because the colors, have you heard the colors thing where the purple and red, so they're saying it's supposed to be the Ravens and the Niners in the Super Bowl? Have you heard all that stuff?
I have not heard that. So
for the last 6 years, the colors of the Super Bowl logo has been the teams that have played in the Super Bowl. So everyone says the NFL is scripted, so they're saying the Niners are red and the Ravens purple, and that's the colors of the logo are purple and red.
How come the Vikings didn't get in then?
Well, because they don't have a quarterback. That's why.
Good point. Good point. Hey, I had cousins of Hawkins in one of my leagues, and basically the season ended when they both got hurt.
That's why you're not a champion.
I am in one league.
There you go. All right, AJ, you happy? LaVelle, by the way, AJ's Next Life, he wants to be a football studio host. So he's working hard. That. Was he good?
Yeah, I can see AJ as that, man, definitely. AJ, didn't you play football in high school at Dr. Phillips?
No, hell no. No.
What position would you have played?
Oh, I would have been a tight end. I would have been Hawkinson just running fools over out there. Are you kidding me?
Okay. All right. See?
I weigh enough. I could add about 30 pounds and probably play left tackle, but, I don't get to hit anybody.
Oh, shit.
Epic. Well, LaVelle, it was awesome having you on. We'll obviously, post some of these clips and plug your Twitter and where they can catch your articles. Great to catch up with you. And, hopefully you can write a story about a real signing at some point.
Thanks. I appreciate that very much. I think we're all waiting for that moment where we could write about a meaningful acquisition. Meanwhile, I'm just going to have to cherish the time I spent with AJ today, just like old times with us in the clubhouse.
Might be the highlight of the
Twins Fest. Get ready.
Oh, okay. Bring it. Let's go.
Thank you, LaVelle. Great talking to you.
All right. See you.
Cheers.